Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is quite disturbing case where a disgraced lawyer has been found or pleaded guilty to 3 counts of fraud during cases where he held British soldiers against atrocities they were meant to have made against Iraqi soldiers during the war. This is really disturbing to me. I'm very thankful, grateful to our armed forces and to the brave men and women that serve. And I'm not stupid enough to think we've never been involved in any wars we shouldn't have been involved in, and I'm not stupid enough to think atrocities don't take place during such wars. Our service personnel never once get to vote and decide in what wars they do and what wars they do not take part in. These decisions are made by people much further up the food chain, normally our Prime Minister. So when these people go to war, they deserve our support. Maybe not support where they are or what they're doing while they're there, they deserve our support for putting their lives in danger at the request of others, making the decisions of where and when we go to war. So I'm quite thankful, proud of our armed forces, and I salute anybody who's given up time to serve in our armed forces, regardless of where they get sent to carry out their duties, because that's not their decision. So when I hear of a lawyer, first of all, making money, taking these people to court, and second of all, being found to tell lies and be guilty of fraud while taking our armed forces personnel through courts, I find disgusting. And this story's been shared many places since last night when the news broke. I'm going to use the BBC for reference, and their headline is "Former Lawyer Pleads Guilty to Fraud Over Iraq War Claims." Former human rights lawyer Phil Shiner has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of fraud linked to claims against British Iraq war veterans. Shiner, 67, appeared in Southwark Crown Court on Monday, where he entered the guilty pleas, the National Crime Agency said. The former boss of public interest lawyers was struck off by the Solicitors Regulation Authority back in 2017 for pursuing false torture and murder allegations against British troops. The head of the NCA's International Corruption Unit said the conviction is a milestone. The 3 charges relate to allegations of fraud offences over legal aid claims made in 2007. Then Shiner from Birmingham made an application to Legal Services Commission seeking up to £200,000 of legal aid funding for his firm to represent clients including Khuder Al-Sweady, and an application for judicial review. It was claimed that his nephew, Khuder Al-Sweady, was unlawfully killed while in the custody of British troops in a military base in Camp Abu Naji. A lengthy inquiry into wider allegations of abuse at the hands of British soldiers established beyond doubt that all the most serious allegations had been found to be wholly without foundation and entirely the product of deliberate lies. The inquiry report said that Khuder Al-Sweady had been killed outright during fighting and was not detained alive. The NCA said that in total Shiner received around £3 million in the value of the contract, and that the ensuing Al-Sweady inquiry cost the taxpayer £24 million. The agency said Shiner had failed to disclose that an agent acting on his behalf had been cold calling and making unsolicited approaches to potential clients in Iraq. The second count of fraud was levelled after he was found to have not disclosed he was paying referral fees, a practice not permitted while obtaining legal aid contracts. He was also convicted of providing a witness statement to the Commission in support of his application, which again obtained via an unsolicited approach. Because this information was not disclosed, Shiner was able to gain a valuable legal aid contract to pursue the judicial review, the agency said. And Kelly, head of the NCA's International Corruption Unit, said this conviction is a milestone in what has been a thorough and complex domestic and international investigation. Shiner's actions resulted in untold pressures and anxiety on members of the British Armed Forces, pursuing legal challenges funded through dishonest actions, he said. I don't know about you, but I find this quite disturbing. And what I also am considering here is, Phil Shiner is obviously a despicable character who sought to gain personal wealth through made up stories. And as the court said, let me just find the quote, wholly without foundation and entirely the product of deliberate lies. And Phil Shiner seek to obtain millions of pounds through these lies and putting our armed forces personnel who saw enough horror in Iraq without us causing them more by taking them through courts in the United Kingdom on their return. That's unforgivable. To do this to anybody is bad, but to do it to veterans who had witnessed the evils and the torture of war is unforgivable. It is absolutely insane, but what I'm now contemplating is, how many? Is this the only case that Phil Shiner was involved in? Is Phil Shiner the only corrupt lawyer who profited from the anguish of made up and lies and claims against our armed forces personnel? How many Phil Shiners is there here? And I just wonder, the tariff for fraud, and I hope this man gets his just desserts, and I hope he does actually see a custodial sentence. In the UK, the Sentencing Council's guidelines for fraud offences specifies a range of sentences for each type of offence. The range is split into categories that reflect varying degrees of seriousness, and each category is a starting point for calculating provisional sentence. The court can then adjust the sentence within the range based on other factors such as aggravation or mitigating circumstances. The maximum sentence for fraud is 10 years, but this is usually reserved for the most serious, such as large-scale frauds. For example, a sentence of 7 years or less is typical for frauds involving many victims and over £500,000. For frauds valued between £20,000 and £100,000, a typical sentence is 4 years. In some cases, the court may impose a suspended sentence, which means the convicted person is placed in probation instead of being sent to prison immediately. The court will also consider the offender's financial circumstances when setting the fine. I know his financial circumstances. He was stinking rich. He was stinking rich due to the pains he put our armed forces personnel through. So going by this very quick guide on the internet would suggest that 7 years is typical for frauds involving many victims and over £500,000. Well, I'd like to see that sort of sentence passed down to this disgusting example of a human being called Phil Shiner, because that's what he's due, if not more. Let's see how a normal two-tier judiciary deals with this despicable character who set out to make a fortune. And we've been quite happy to see our armed forces personnel. You would be happy to see them sent to jail for crimes they didn't commit, crimes they may have been found guilty on, made up of lies and his desire to make £2 million off the back of the legal aid claims. Absolutely disgusting. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and notifications button. Put your comments below, let me know what you think, please. But most important of all, unless you're Phil Shiner or any of these people who want to profit through the anguish of our army veterans, not you, everyone else.
Everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.